Today's episode is brought to you by Big Daddy Fitness Gym with over 1,000 transformations. If you have the will, Big Daddy has the way. Slimwave Technologies NuBody Medica, Innovator in the beauty business, bringing effective solutions for health and wellness.
Welcome, everyone, to the Selling Youth United podcast, a podcast that recognizes and celebrates women's stories of perseverance and resilience. I'm absolutely honored and thrilled that my next guest has accepted to be a guest on our podcast. Her name is Marilena Tentomas. Marilena, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Stella. I am honored to be your second guest on this podcast. I'm really looking forward to this.
Well, so am I, and I can't wait. And I have to say, your decor in the back, I love your Christmas tree. And I know you told me it takes you about 5 to 6 hours every day to vacuum with the the white little frostings, but it's absolutely worth it.
I know. But, it does look great, and it's fun.
It's beautiful. And you look great, too. Okay.
Thank you so much.
So Marilena, for my viewers and the audience that is listening, Marilena is a powerhouse, an absolutely powerhouse, and an innovator in the beauty business, bringing effective solutions for health and wellness. And she's the founder of Slimwave Technologies and NuBody Medica, excuse me. When I was researching, your background, because Marilena is also my friend, so we know each other about a year and a half now. But when I was researching Marilena, I was like, where do I start with this podcast, right? So, I mean, because there's a plethora of interviews that you have conducted and publications that you've been in it, and I want to share that with the audience so they can understand. So they can understand the caliber. And I know, and look, for those of you that can't see us, but they can hear us, Marilena is one of the most humble individuals that I know. And after this podcast, you will see and understand why. Marilena is here today to be sharing her story, her personal story of perseverance, and also her professional journey as well. But let me start with those local publications that I alluded to before, because I was writing that down and then I was like reading them back to myself, and I said, I was so proud of you and your accomplishments. I mean, I had goosebumps all over my body. So here we go. Local publications. Is everyone ready? And I'm gonna read this, but Play Edit Montreal. She was recognized by her peers at the 30th annual RBC Canadian Women Entrepreneur Awards for Women of Influence nominee. She also appeared in Goss magazine, and I'll get to Goss a bit more in detail because there was a fantastic slogan that they have, and I love Marilena to elaborate on that. So Goss magazine, and the title was Building a Medical Beauty Empire. It continues. Entrepreneurs Herald, top 25 inspiring women to look out for in 2021.
Yeah.
The NYC, New York City Journal, top 30 personalities, disrupting, and I love the word disrupting.
I do too.
Disrupting the beauty industry in 2022. So here we go, 2021 and 2022. She was also featured in the Shout Out Miami, Canvas Rebel magazine, What It Takes to Run a Successful Business.
Yeah.
The New York Weekly. Okay, when I saw this, I thought I was going to just drop to the floor. So, I mean, New York Weekly, guys, top 10. And Marilena's from Montreal.
Yeah.
Homegrown entrepreneurial talent, okay? Top 10 let me backtrack. New York Weekly, top 10 inspiring women to look out for in 2023.
Yes.
So, consecutive years. The Women's Journal, U.S. Reporter, Voyage MIA, which is a Miami publication.
Yeah.
And she was, recognized as a hidden gem in 2023. So Marilena, when I looked at all that and I said, where do I start this podcast? This woman has achieved tremendous success on the business side, on the professional side.
Yeah.
And we will get to that. Okay. I always love to dig deep in the podcast with my guests, dig deep and find out the core. And we'll talk about core values because you spoke about core values and their relevance.
Yeah.
So in order for us to understand, and we'll get to Slimwave Technologies and what that represents, and because I really want the world to hear all these beautiful brands and companies that you have founded. And you called yourself a serial entrepreneur. I love that. So we'll get into that. But let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the roots. So when we look at resilience, so we talk about resilience from the entrepreneurial, mindset, and it's a skill that carries us to success. Okay. I like to use the sentence resilience and entrepreneurship is a skill that carries us to success in
Yeah.
a question, okay? So how, Marilena, does that pertain to your personal life? So what particular skills in your personal life helped you to achieve the resilience that you have today? And I really believe that that's going to enable us to go back to the very beginning, starting with your youth, your upbringing, your Greek culture, etc., which helped you to navigate your life's decisions.
For sure, for
So
sure.
if we can start from there.
I think I love that word resilience. I could identify it with it very much. So I am Greek. I grew up in Laval. And resilience for me is, I think, just witnessing my parents were immigrants into Canada, and they too were entrepreneurs. So my entrepreneurship really started and stemmed from them, seeing them and what it took to be an entrepreneur. And it wasn't always beautiful and easy. There were so many struggles in order to become an entrepreneur and as an immigrant in Canada.
So what do you mean by struggles?
Well, for example, I think I was around 4 years old, and my parents just decided to open up, I think it was a supermarket. And in order to open up a supermarket, I wasn't in school, and they couldn't afford to have somebody take care of me. And they had sent me to go live with my grandmother in Greece.
Okay.
Yeah. At 4 years old, though,
I didn't know that. At 4 years
you don't
old.
know if you don't know.
I love it.
And, I only realized the impact of that moment in my life only when I had my daughter, how it really did impact me. And I'll tell you why. My grandmother at that time was a stranger to me. So having my parents drop me off in Greece and live with my grandmother, there was this feeling of abandonment that I went through.
I could imagine. Yeah, I could imagine at 4 years old, right?
My grandmother was the most beautiful human, and I think I adopted a lot of her traits. That transition of learning to love her and accepting her, and I learned to love her and accept her as a mom. So I lived with her for 2 years, and those 2 years, even though I was just 4 years old, I have very vivid memories of her and loved her. 2 years later, she had to bring me back into Canada. I was ready to go to school, and my parents finally had established their business, and I was ready to come back.
Can I ask you, Marilena, because, as coming from, we're both Greek, and for the listeners, our mothers are our mothers, and our grandmothers are our grandmothers. So it's, we can equate our grandmothers to the same equivalence of our mothers. Like the love is that strong. What, if you can share one memory, because you said you have very vivid memories, what was the most special memory that you feel that your grandmother, and I'm getting towards who you are, because everything, like your upbringing, your memories, this is all part of who you are today. So
Yes.
If you can share one memory or something she told you, it could have been an expression. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I want to dig deep into, because this is going to show the world
I think for me,
how
really,
successful you
I
are.
think
And
for
why.
me, I think she saw how I struggled. I would see pictures of my mom when I was living with my grandmother, and I would break them. And my grandmother was like, what is she doing? Why is she reacting like this? And I think my grandmother realized she needed to step in and really just give me so much love. I never slept one night alone. She always slept with me.
I'm gonna start crying.
I know.
Marilena, that's amazing.
She
That's
saw that I
amazing.
struggled. I felt like I lost my parents. I didn't understand. I was only 4 years old. The
Yes.
logic behind it makes sense, right? As an adult, it makes sense. But as a
Yes.
4-year-old, it did not. So I just felt so much loved. I remember even my first bike. It was a red tricycle that my grandfather had in the backyard, and I went, and it was just a lot of great moments together. And you know, and as I grew up, and I would have arguments with my parents, I'd be like, just send me to Greece. I'll go live with grandpa.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. So
when my grandmother brought me back and she had to go back to Greece, I felt the second time that I lost a mother again, because she went.
wow.
Here I am now.
So it's like double trauma, if I can say.
It was difficult. So when I came back, and my mom just wanted to give me so much love, and I think there was guilt there because she saw how I was taken aback, and I wasn't a child that ran to her easily, or I accepted her love. It took me a lot of time.
Understandably.
And I always felt out of place. I think that moment really impacted my life, and I just felt like I didn't belong. It took me quite a few years to feel like I belonged in that family.
Oh, that's and you know what? And we'll get to your daughter, because I know your daughter is the core of everything, the core of your very being, and we'll get to Alexia. Because even when I see, you know, the videos that you shoot with her, it touches me so much. How can it not, right? So
Yeah,
it's
of course,
the bond, and we'll get to Alexia because she deserves her a quite a significant segment on the podcast, because again, that is shaping who you are today as well. So going back, so you're okay. So you were in Greece. Your parents they started a supermarket. You went back to Montreal, and you had your life in Montreal. So talk to us about your journey in Montreal, because I know talk to us about your upbringing, and then a little bit about your or a lot, or how it's up to you, Marilena, in terms of the profession that you had in Montreal, and then what sparked you. I know something sparked you to go into the entrepreneurial route.
Oh, well, definitely. I think I was just always wanted to be an entrepreneur, from a very, very young age. From like, you know, I don't know how old I was. I think it was about 16 or 17 years old, and I had gone into a tanning salon, and there was a woman that owned the tanning salon, and I was fascinated by her. She ran the show. It was successful, and I remember looking at her, and I took this mental picture, and I was like, I want to be like her. And I was just 16 years old, but there was something about her owning her own business, and the way she managed it, the way she was with clients. People loved to go in and speak to her. And
women inspiring women, right? This is what it's all about.
Yes. I remember I came home and I created a business plan to tell my parents that they needed to fund and buy a tanning salon. But that's how.
So how did they react? But okay, so that, first of all, that's amazing. And for all the younger listeners, you know, the women that are, you know, in their teens and in their early 20s and trying to figure themselves out and what career they want to do. I mean, this is you just walked in and you said, I want to be like her, right? And that mental picture, and then you're going back and creating a business plan, that speaks to your tenacity, and it speaks to your hunger and drive. Wanting to succeed, Marilena, and wanting to succeed at an early age.
I really did. My father thought I was crazy.
That's typical Greek dad, right?
Greek dad, Marilena, you're beautiful. He says to me, you're going to meet somebody that's rich, and you're going to be just fine. You just like, as if like my goals and
your
my
dream.
were crushed because I was like, that's not what I want. I don't care how I look. I have
Right.
this drive inside of me. And I think, in a Greek family, you know, the sons are the ones that, you know, they
Yes.
go and have the big careers, and the daughters, they have their position as well. And I couldn't identify with that. And if anything, it really angered me inside. And I remember when he would say it, there was just something inside of me that I was like, no, no, that's not me. I have more to do in this world.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, taking that mental picture of that woman or that girl that owned the business led me, and I had many jobs, and I worked, you know, I before I owned my own business, I worked in private aviation, and I was leasing airplanes. So
Okay.
people lease airplanes, and so when it came to sales, I love sales, I love business. But when I was in my 30s, guess what I bought? A tanning salon.
You bought a tanning salon.
Imagine. Like it's like it became full circle. So
Full
I bought
circle.
in Laval.
It was meant to be.
I was living in Ontario, where I am today, and it was an hour drive back and forth. And I bought this tanning salon in Laval, and I had a vision that I wanted to buy it, boost it, and after 3 years, sell it. So I buy this tanning salon. I never owned a tanning salon. I was not in this industry whatsoever, but I knew business, and I had a knack for business, and I knew that I had drive, and I was a smart girl. And give me anything, I'm going to learn. I'm going to research and figure it out.
And Marilena, would you say that all the skills that you learned previously, that are, you know, these are skills that were transferable into, because you had the entrepreneurial mindset, you were in a different business line, you said, and this is such an inspiration for the women listening, right? That are, and again, I'm going back to, you know, I have a 20-year-old son.
Yes.
And he would, you know, he can benefit from this podcast. He will definitely benefit from this podcast, whether you're female or male, you know, just fit, you know, at that age group, just trying to figure out what you want to do in life. You know what you said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to learn it. You didn't know the industry, but you were determined.
I had confidence in myself. I had confidence in myself. I had confidence that I was a really good leader. I knew.
How did that confidence come about? How did you know you had that confidence?
I just believed in I believed in myself. There were so many challenges along the way in life, because that's what life is. You know, it's not always easy. That by overcoming, and like that word that we always say is resilience.
Yes.
It really is the strength that we carry inside of us. And I wasn't scared of failing. When I went inside, I just said, I'm just going to learn. I'm just going to sit back and watch how it's run, what's happening. And that's what I did. I didn't go in there and say, here I am, I'm the boss, and this is what I'm doing. It took me a couple of months, and I was the observer, and I was observing, and I was seeing where it was lacking.
That's excellent advice, right? So the loop, yes, where it was lacking and where it can be improved, and where you can add the Marilena touch, right? Like you're so that. And Marilena, I want to go back to so prior to you buying your first salon, I did some research, and you had mentioned in one publication that you were in a type of work environment where, you know, you didn't naturally thrive happily every day.
Yes.
Superiors were predominantly male.
Yes.
And you said that, and sometimes there were some inappropriate situations, and that their behaviors dimmed your light and your feeling at the workplace. So when I read that, the dimming of the light, and we're going to get to the salon and hi, but I also feel it's important. You can provide so much value add to our listeners, because a lot of women, you know, and I would say, if I look at myself, like in the banking and corporate world, it's not only men, but it's also a lot of women that feel very
overlooked.
They're difficult, and they feel also threatened, right? With the women, it's more like they feel threatened, and well, she has a voice, she has to calm her voice down. But with the men, it's like, well, again, she has a voice. We need to calm her down, right?
Oh, for sure. Don't be overly
Older-
ambitious. Don't, don't step on everybody's
Yeah.
toes. If you're overly ambitious and you have drive, then you're too aggressive, then, you're too full of yourself, you're overly confident, and so, that's why I felt like I had to dim my light. And yes, definitely in many of my work environments where my peers were male, there was a lot of moments that it felt very inappropriate. And when you feel like that, you feel like you're shrinking, right?
100%.
One,
You feel like need I say the word violated, right? Both like mentally, like you're like, why is this happening to me? And
yeah,
it's like, and I don't want this to happen to me. And Marilena, I'm getting a very strong sense that you're a very strong person. You are resilient, and we keep saying it, but you are. So
yeah,
let's continue. So the light wasn't dimmed anymore. The
yeah,
light was shining bright in your early 30s. You bought your first salon. You went into education mode, right? Like sitting back and
yes,
observing. And that's what a lot of strong entrepreneurs do. They don't just jump head first. They
no,
research the business. I mean, this is a business that was foreign to you.
yeah,
You research the business, but now you have catapulted into this tremendous phenom in the beauty space, and you own two companies, multiple
yes,
brands. You have companies in Canada, you have companies in the US, you have companies in the UK. I was looking in you have companies in Algeria, in the Caribbean, in France, like holy mackerel, right? So how did you
well, let's continue this story.
let's continue this story, because like I said, there's so much, and it's like let's compartmentalize, because
Yeah.
for the audience sake, I really would love for it to have a flow. And I promise you, so far, I am so inspired, and I know that the audience is inspired. So continue, Marilena.
So here I am observing, and I realized, which I didn't know before, that the tanning industry was a seasonal business. So
Yeah.
there was a moment, there was months that there was a slow. And for myself, I was like, well, what are we going to do during this slow time? So I said, let's bring aesthetics into this. So when there's a slow, we have a secondary business
Correct.
on where we could still put traffic through the door and keep everybody busy, of course, and make money. So now this is where my quest of trying to find what am I going to bring into my business that's going to impress myself first, because if it impresses me, it's surely going to impress my clients.
Yes.
So I was looking at body contouring and body sculpting. And it was during a time where plastic surgery was becoming a bigger trend for young girls. And I wanted to find something that was non-invasive, that
And
was
safe, holistic.
safe and holistic, yes. And I was going, and I was spending so much money. I was going to salons and I was doing treatments. And
You went to Europe, I believe,
I
correct?
did go to Europe as well. And I said, I'm not finding what I need here. I need to look outside the box. And that's exactly what I did. And I aligned myself with a manufacturer that understood my vision. We worked together, and he introduced me to muscle stimulation. And this was about 15, 16 years ago.
Correct.
Muscle stimulation 15, 16 years ago did not exist in the body sculpting business. I brought it in, and I remember when we were trying it on our clients, we couldn't believe how addictive it became, because there was results and how amazing they
And this is in Marilena, this is something that bodybuilders would use,
yes.
female fitness models,
Yeah.
you know.
And it was primarily used for rehabilitation. So it's something that everybody might have tried if they've done physio, but something, and you're right, like there's this video of Bruce Lee, and he would attach himself to this machine and you would just see his muscles
Like
going.
vibrate, right? Like it's patting and it just shakes your whole entire body. Correct.
Definitely knew something, and we caught on a lot later in life, but it was this woman one client tells me, this is crazy. Like you just feel so good. And I was looking at it and I was like, okay, you know what? I think I want to bring this technology into Canada. And this is how Slimwave developed, was a business within a business in my tanning salon now. The love that I found with this technology and the way it was making people feel, I decided this is where I want to go. So I sold the tanning salon. I branded this piece of machine, and I decided to create a business around it. And that's how Slimwave really started. There's been so much evolution, I've upgraded the technology and we've done so much. But back in the days when I brought this into the industry of the beauty industry, people were like, what is she doing? Is she crazy? Like, what does she do with muscles? And now it's become one of the biggest trends worldwide.
I know that. I can see that. Yes. I mean, and to expand into all these different countries. Marilena, you're such a, if I use the word humility, right? That represents you. And if I could say, what do you understand by the word humility? What does that mean to you? Humbleness. What does that mean to you?
I think by being humble, for me, it's really important. I know for myself, ego and somebody being filled with ego is unattractive to me. I find when we have too much ego, we're not connected to our authentic self anymore. We're not grounded. We're not relatable to others. We can't empathize with others. And my humility is very important to me, and keeping myself grounded. So what it means to me is really just being really authentic, being able to connect with others.
I think it's important, and I really want to. I love that you're saying that you're not being your authentic self. If we cannot be our authentic self, then we can't. Then the other individuals that we interact with, they're going to realize and recognize, well, I'm not getting the real Marilena, or I'm not getting the real Stella. Right. And oftentimes nowadays, and I'm going to be very transparent, we have a lot of women, that have achieved success, whether it's in the business world, entrepreneurial, whatever the case may be. And, I see them, and, kudos to all the women that have achieved that. But a lot of them, I feel, are very pretentious. And that, if I can recognize it, a lot of, people can recognize as well. And it doesn't, I mean, like, I don't know if the women are listening, they are listening. Everyone's going to be listening. This is going to go viral, Marilena. I just find what you said, being authentic to yourself, and not only to yourself, but by being authentic to yourself, it's going to portray that authenticness. Authenticity is going to be portrayed towards the general population of the people that you're within your network and everyone else, and your brand, right? The personal brand is so important. So if someone is being perceived as pretentious, well, if I have a friend that I feel, sits in that category, I want to know that they're going to be open for constructive feedback, and because I'm always open to constructive feedback, right? I wouldn't be the person that I am today, 30 plus years in the banking industry, and now, pursuing my entrepreneurial debut career, if I can say.
I love it.
I just, what you see with Stella is what you get. And this is what I feel with you. Not what I feel, I know that this is what I see with you is what we get. But you shared tremendous insight in terms of your volonté, like we say in French, your desire, the spark that you had in you from a very young age, and I also to succeed and be this tremendously successful woman that you are today. And again, I'm using humbleness because you are very humble. I also read that when you were even at a younger age, you try to promote and sell stuff to people, right? So talk to us very quickly about that, because again, it's the sum. Being who you are today is a sum of all parts throughout our life, right? So talk to us about that too. Trying to sell. What were you trying to sell? I'm curious.
You know what? I was doing everything. I was into making jewelry, and I would just make, and my daughter does the same thing, but she started at a younger age than me.
Yes.
So I would make, when you have a wine glass, I would make these little beads that you put on your wine glass.
Yes.
Be able to, I started,
Identify.
yeah, and I started to selling it to my family. My family was buying it as teachers' gifts. And then from that, I got invited to host birthday parties for kids, to do beading with kids. And I was creating businesses within businesses just doing this. And I love it because I see my daughter, Alexia, when we have family come over sometimes, she'll make a stand and she's made necklaces and she's trying to sell it to them.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic, Marilena, honestly. And you know what? I think this is an excellent, excellent pivot into, so you're successful, like I said, a phenom in the beauty space, a disruptor. And when we watch Shark Tank and Dragon's Den and all, the equivalents across the world, the word disruptor is often used, and that when the coaches see that, their eyes light up, because when you're a disruptor in something, it means you're making an impact. They
Yeah.
want to hear what you have to say. So I think this is an excellent segue into your daughter.
Yeah.
So talk to us about motherhood, and talk to us about the beautiful bond that led between you and your beautiful daughter, Alexia.
So my beautiful daughter, Alexia, truly, when I say that she's a gift or that she's a miracle, I think there's so much meaning into those words. It took me 6 years to be able to fall pregnant. And it was 6 years of trying and believing that I was going to become a mom. For myself, having a family was really important. It's something that as a little girl, I dreamt of. And it's something that when I got married was really the goal that I wanted to achieve, is to be a mom. When I learned that I was struggling and not being able to get pregnant, I decided to go into this world of IVF. For myself, it was very scary. I didn't know what IVF was. And it was a 6-year journey. I tried everything. I was in Canada. I was going from clinic to clinic. When a clinic would say, we're not sure. At the beginning, it was, it's okay, try again, you're gonna fall pregnant. It's okay, try again and fall pregnant. So I was very hopeful. Resilience comes in because
it also said psychologically, and the emotional stress that you went through, right?
Oh, for sure. I've never gone after something with so much conviction and in my life. And through that, I found out what failing over and over and over again really meant. And then you have to get up and do it again. Because that was 6 years of failing. I just kept trying and failing. And I remember, and we're not going to go through every year what it was about, but the last year, I said to my husband, I'm willing to adopt. I'm willing to find a series. I have to. We go and for myself, I always needed to have plan A, plan B, plan C, and plan D, because if this didn't work, it was so important to me that I needed to know that I had options.
And Marilena, what you're saying right now is also applicable in the business environment. You see, you look how I love the way your mind works. Plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. Always be prepared. Never just
always be prepared. And and when somebody says no, you better figure out another way that somebody will say yes to you, right?
One door closes, the other one opens.
Exactly.
And kick it down. Marilena, we were saying that, you know what, you need to break the door down and kick the door down. So talk to us about that.
I think I had reached some of the most darkest moments in my life, because as the years were going by, I was realizing that the dreams that I had probably were not going to come to life. And I remember telling my husband, and I always say to younger girls, choose wisely, because if I didn't have the husband that I have today, I don't know if I would even be the same person that I am today. He's just so supportive, and being there after all the needles, all the hormone shots, the tears. There were days that I didn't want to get out of bed because reality was starting to set in. And I said, Jeff, are you okay if we adopt? And he says, yes, Marilyn, I'm okay if we adopt. So we had to go through the process of getting a psychological assessment to determine whether we're good enough to even adopt. So it's like, you know, I was like,
I can't imagine what was going through your mind every second of every day. The years that you tried IVF and you couldn't conceive, and now you're at the thought process of adopting, and yet you're still getting that, resistance, or
yeah,
maybe it could be a no, right?
yeah, exactly. And that's what I was always scared of, is if they tell me I'm not good enough, if they tell me that no, we get rejected. And we went through that, and of course we were told that we are accepted, and then we were told that there could be a really long wait time for that. And so my other plan C was a surrogate, because they were telling me that potentially. So I met a wonderful woman. She came from Toronto. She came to my house and lived with me for a couple of days, and she brought her 2-year-old daughter. And she wanted to kind of see who I was, and I wanted to see who she was. And she said she had some friends in Ottawa, and she said that she was going to go visit them, and she left me her 2-year-old to babysit for the night. And I remember I had this beautiful little girl. She was 2 years old, and I had to put her to sleep. This was the first time that I was in direct contact with a child in my home, acting as,
a mom.
A mom. And I was just singing to her that night, and singing to her to go to sleep, and tears were just coming down my face.
Oh my God.
And I just said, please, God, I will do anything.
I will do
anything. And just please give me this gift. I remember when she came back, and she was just like, Marilyn, you're a natural. If you want me to carry this baby, I will. And I said to her, Christine, I'm not sure which avenue I'm going to take, but if I do choose a surrogate, I will choose you.
With you.
And it was around this time I went to the last clinic in Canada. This clinic had amazing options. Percentages of success rates. I later learned that those percentages of success rates are not the best thing, because when a clinic sees after 6 years my success and great, you get rejected. So I go in, and he gave me the whole thing. Let's do all the tests. And finally he says, yes, we accept your case. We're going to do it. It was a couple of days before Christmas.
Wow. I could just, Christmas in itself is such an emotional time.
Yeah.
And, from one moment to the other, I can just empathize what you were going through. Like, sto mialoso, si cardiaso in your mind and in your heart, like just the battle, like that you were dealing with. Like I can't even fathom. And
I'll be honest with you, like I've kind of packed it in a box and hold it really close to me. And speaking about this with you, thank you though, because you're amazing. You make things so easy to talk about. You're a natural host.
You're amazing, Marilena. I mean, honestly.
So I feel very comfortable in speaking about it.
Thank you.
But I remember I got the call, and they were like, Miss Tentomas, we regret to tell you that we're canceling the IVF transfer, and that you need to look at other alternatives. After so many years, you are not able to have a child through IVF. I remember closing the phone, and it took Yeah, I remember closing the phone and I finally felt defeated. Like, God, this is it.
And you're a woman where, you know what? I'm determined. I'm going to break doors. I
Yeah,
have multiple plans, A, B, C, D. Yet,
yeah,
like you're saying now, you're being so raw and authentic, and you're speaking, your truth in the sense that, Stella, I felt defeated.
I felt defeated. Yeah, I felt like, you know, this dream of me carrying a baby and feeling my baby inside of me was not, I had to say goodbye to that option. 2 weeks, I was in bed. It's this grief, this suffering in silence, this unspoken grief that you feel that nobody can understand you. You're not open, conceiving a child is and conception is a really private thing between a husband and a
Yes.
wife. It's
Yes.
not something that you're just going to announce to
It
the
can
world.
make or break, it can also make or break the marriage,
Oh,
right?
yes. We were tested many times because it was hard. It was not easy. And in between, you had to live life, manage your business, and just move on with life, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I was in bed and it was 2 weeks. And I said to myself, no, no, I know I'm going to have a child. I said, no. I got out of bed as depressed as I was, and I started researching, and I fell into researching. I'm like, screw Canada. It's not working. The North American protocols for this is not working for me. And I just dove in. And I started going into chat rooms of women, going into
Yes.
and I found a clinic in Czech Republic. And the more I was reading, and then I started reaching out to moms that conceived, and I was asking them these questions. I felt I found a light. I just needed a light. Like I needed a glimmer, a light. I needed hope. And I tell my husband, I know you think I'm crazy, because my husband saw the toll that it was taking on me. And he's like, Marilyn, when is it enough?
I know well, look, it's very difficult for me also to because I'm extremely sensitive, because for me as well, Marilena, I said I'm on this planet, I'm on this earth
Yeah.
to be, obviously a successful businesswoman, business executive, whatever the case may be. You want to be successful in your life, your career, but the foundation for me
Yeah.
was obviously to have a successful marriage, or a partner that,
Yeah.
that loves me and I love back. But for me, it was all about being a mom. I
Yeah.
had this mother instinct, this instinctual, um, you know, just connection to
Yeah.
motherhood. And when we baptized my godson Hayden, who has who is deceased now. He died at when he was 19 years old. I remember holding him. He died tragically, but I remember holding him. And my father-in-law at the time says, Stella, you love babies so much. You're a natural,
Yeah.
right? And when are you going to have babies? And coming from my husband's Armenian, Greek, the same type of mentality.
Yeah.
When are you going to have babies, right? You get married, you're supposed to have babies. So, I was very fortunate in hearing your story. Mine was the opposite in the sense that I conceived my first child immediately. The second child, it took me 4 months to conceive. And just to share this with you, Marilena, those 4 months, I'm like, what do you mean? I can't conceive. I conceived right away with the first. So even if it was just 4 months, such a short period compared to your 6 years of, I would say, psychological torment and torture,
Yeah.
I felt like that fear and that, oh my God. So in just 4 months, but I mean, again, nothing compared to the caliber of what you were experiencing in your mind.
Yeah.
But when you said right now, what you just said, no, I'm gonna have a child.
Yeah.
God listened.
God listened.
Talk to us.
And I truly believe that God does things for a reason. I think if it was too easy for me, maybe I wouldn't be the type of mother I am today.
Correct. Correct.
Um,
So what type of mother are you today?
the type of mom I am today, I'm completely committed to my daughter. I think,
I see that. I think the world sees that.
yeah, I am. She's my world. I feel like Alexia was the missing piece that was missing from my life. I feel complete. After having Alexia, maybe 2 years after is when my business reached levels that it never reached before. The amount of joy and happiness that I had poured into the rest of my life.
Because that, again, you had that newfound joy. Again, we talk about the word light has surfaced multiple times in this podcast in our beautiful conversation. And there's another light. So Alexia is, I think, that
Oh,
light,
yes,
right?
yeah.
And more than a light. I mean,
And
there's not enough adjectives that could describe who she is to you because Marilena, I see it. I see you travel the world with her and you hold her and she's your partner. She's your,
yeah,
like she's your daughter, but she's also your partner and she's part of you. I see her
yeah.
like an extension of you. Like you're together always. That love is wow,
Yeah. I think because you don't take things for granted, and when things are so that it was so difficult, and she's 10 years old now, so
Yes.
now I could understand what my journey to her was, where before she couldn't, she didn't understand. She says, she was just happy to be loved. But when I explained to her my journey to her, she was just like, I don't know. It just took us to another level in our relationship. It
She
brought us.
understands. She understands now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I've also seen her grow within the last year and a half.
yeah,
And she's a beautiful redhead.
yes.
I love her hair. I love her freckles. Um, she's a mini Marilena, like
She,
really.
she really is. But a better version because she's just.
I
I,
love that. A
I,
better version.
but
Imagine that, right? Like, I mean, this is you're killing me, Marilena. You're killing me. Yeah.
she is a better version, definitely. Like some of the things I find that she's also put on this earth to be my teacher. She's really learned me. She's really
Interesting.
taught me about kindness, about
Yes.
patience, about putting others before myself. Alexia's very wise,
Yes.
very wise, and I'm just grateful that I didn't give up. I'm just grateful when everybody told me that I needed to stop, that I didn't stop, because otherwise I would not be here and I would not be a mom.
So, like Sia, the singer says,
I
I'm
love
unstoppable. I'm a Porsche with no brakes. Okay, I'm not here to promote my singing career, but because
but
I'm
I
definitely
love
no
that
Sia.
song.
But that's my song that I hold near and dear. And you are unstoppable. And you know what? Everything that you all everything that you are today, right? The sum of all parts that led you to become to the amazing, fantastic, successful woman, the extremely loving mother, the resilient and compassionate wife as well. I mean, that has made you unstoppable, right? And I want the women that are listening and watching to this podcast to know that success doesn't come overnight. And success, whether it's in the personal front or, the professional front, it doesn't come overnight. There's failures, as you mentioned.
Yes.
There's doors that are closed.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of actionable items, like you said, always have plans. But you know what? When it comes to conceiving a child, you had, I can say, yes, you need to have plans, but you also have to have, like we say in Greek, pisti, and belief. The
Yes.
belief, and you had that, but you had that belief and also that tenacity in saying, I'm going to make it happen. And by doing the research and going outside of Canada, going to the Czech Republic, joining all these women, women groups, support groups,
Yeah.
again, that shows that you are very structured and you do have
Yeah.
plans, right? So Marilyn, thank you for sharing that intimate portion of your life, that integral piece with your daughter. I love the fact that you have her in horseback riding.
Oh, yes, I know. Horseback riding has been a gift to Alexia because I think Alexia struggled a little bit with fitting in school.
Yeah,
She has different colored hair.
yeah,
Uh, she's very kind and compassionate, and was easily teased. And I think when you have one kid, they don't learn how to resolve conflict. When you
yeah,
have two, they know how to fight. They know how,
yes.
exposed to it.
That's a great point.
Yeah, and when you have one, I find there's a lot of support that you have to offer them because, like, I know growing up, I used to fight with my brother. So if a kid would call me a name, I didn't care. I learned to be tough because I would fight with my
Right,
sister,
right.
where she didn't. But I find through horseback riding, there's this strength that has come out from this little girl that I never witnessed before, and
Because she's in control, right?
yeah,
She's one with the horse.
she's one with
And
the horse.
and
Well,
I saw a recent video whereby the horse, was, I think, tried to
trying to
tell
throw
her off or seat, but yet she controlled it,
it.
right? And you said this wasn't it was a very uncomfortable and scary moment for you to watch. But
Oh,
she prevailed. She's a fighter.
she
Marilena, she's a duplicate of you. You know that, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So you remember when I appeared at one of I was a guest speaker and
Panelist, yeah.
and before showing up, I wasn't feeling well.
Yes. Yes, it was the mental and health awareness event.
No, it wasn't the mental health awareness. It was your first one.
Oh, the launch. Yes, my
Yeah.
launch for Stellini.
And I wasn't feeling well and I was in bed and she was like coming to my bed and she's like, Mommy, you gotta get up. You gotta show up. You can't. And I was like, I know, Alexia, I got her. And then she sees how sick I was getting, and she was like, oh, Mommy, maybe you should stay home. And I was thinking to myself, what kind of example am I showing her? I gotta show her that
Yeah.
buck up, get dressed. You made a commitment. You need to show up.
And
And
thank God that you did, because you know what? That's how our bond and our friendship,
yeah,
it first started and it ignited. And wow, Alexia, thank you. I know you're going to be listening to this, and thank you for sharing your mom with me. And thank you for inspiring your mom. And you said, Marilena, she's a wonderful gift, and she was put on this earth to be your teacher.
yes,
And
yes.
look, she taught you,
So
Mommy, get up. You
I,
have like this is, and at a young age, she was 8.5 at the time.
I know it was
Could
too.
you imagine?
I know.
Bravo, these, it's like,
Things that just blow my mind. Like even from a really young age, she would see me working on my phone and she'd be like putting her hands on her waist and saying, Mommy, what's more important, me or your phone? And she was like 4 years old.
yeah.
And I would just like sit there and I'd be like, she's right. Like I better put this phone down and like pay attention to my kid over here.
So you find that, wow. So obviously, from what I'm hearing, Alexia is someone also that grounds you, because being an entrepreneur, you're always on the
Yes.
go. You're always thinking of, okay, what's my new venture? What's my new project? So she is an individual that helps you stop. I read in one of the publications, she said she helps me stop. She helps
Yeah.
me be in the moment.
Yes.
And that is very much needed as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Kudos to Alexia. Shout out to Alexia. You're a warrior, Alexia. Maybe Alexia's going to be my guest on another podcast. Marilena mo, I want to get into, so God bless you. God bless. Thank the Lord, and God bless for your tenacity and resilience for, going to any extreme to make this gift of having this beautiful girl be your daughter. So that you've touched me. Thank you for sharing that, because I know it's not easy. It's personal, right? So
Not easy, but it's such a big issue
yes,
society right now. And as women, we hold it really close
we don't talk about it.
and we don't talk about it.
And especially from the Greek culture, it's like, oh, you did this, you did that. Like, no.
Yeah.
What's the matter with you, right? Like, what's the matter with you?
Exactly. And we hold shame. We don't want to talk that something is broken inside of us. That's, and I find that it's time that we start speaking about these issues more so other women could hear, other girls. Like I remember when I was in the waiting rooms of these type of
Yes.
clinics, the girls were so young, you know, and I'm just looking at their faces. Everybody had that same look, you know. And I find that we have to bring these issues to the surface and not have shame or, you know, kind of
I
gatekeep
agree.
what worked for us and what didn't. I think we need to be open about these issues.
God bless. Absolutely. Marilena, so I was, researching your beautiful career and your personal and your, through the publications, through your personal life as well. So Goss Magazine is a big deal, right?
Yes.
So, talk to us briefly about Goss Magazine. Very like a one liner or two liner. How would you describe that magazine? GOSS magazine.
Well, it's a magazine about empowering women, right? And it's about women that are leaders in business or they've done some pretty amazing things in their lives. And when I heard that they wanted to do an interview, I was like, wow.
Who was on the cover? Who was on the cover?
Yes, I know. It was surreal. It really is. And sometimes I have to take
But
a
on the cover, wasn't it Mary from the
from
rea the
Selling
rea Selling Sunset? Mary, exactly.
Mary. It was from Selling Sunset. And I remember thinking, you know, there's sometimes you have to just sit in the moment and think like, okay, I'm deserving of this recognition. Because when you start off in business, you have this feeling like, what did I do? Was it luck? Was it
No, this was not luck. This was your tenacity, your
yes,
resilience,
yeah,
your desire, the light, multiple lights inside of you, were dim, but then they lit up again.
yeah,
What I'm understanding from you is that when you want something really badly, you're gonna do it, right? And
yeah,
then that just multiplies, like the positivity and the positive and the beautiful outcomes multiply, Marilena. So I would say when I looked at the Goss magazine, their slogan, and I'm gonna ask you this question. So I love the slogan. I saw it on Instagram, and it said inspire and empower.
yeah,
Okay. So two extremely powerful words, one that we hear more often than the other. So, inspire, we hear more often, and clearly you inspire me, you inspire the world today and every day, with everything that you're doing, right?
yeah,
But the word in power, it struck me when I was looking at it, and I'm like, IN power, not empower, in power. So what does that mean to you from a professional point of view? And what does that mean to you from a personal point of view? And I think this is a beautiful way to sort of, you know, uh, I would say end and recap the podcast because it means different things, right, to different people. I personally, the in power word is one of the very few times I saw it, and I'm all about female empowerment. My business, my sisterhood is,
definitely, yeah, yes, yeah,
it's all about empowering women and listening to their stories of perseverance and supporting them and inspiring them, but being in power. So if we start from the business perspective and the personal, what does it mean to you by being in power? What does that word mean to you?
for me, it means being in your power, being in your strength. That's what it
Yeah.
means to me. And I, like you said, I definitely am a very strong character. But I'm kind, right?
Yes.
But being in my power means I refuse to fall. I refuse to have any moments that I've struggled. I refuse for those moments to define who I am.
I love that.
Yeah. Um, there's there's a quote that I say to myself often over and over, and I want to read it to you if you don't
Yes,
mind.
please.
I choose to be unshakable, not because I am immune to struggle, but because I have decided that no struggle will define me anymore. No matter how dark the days may seem, I will find light. No matter how fierce the storm, I will plant my roots deeper. And no matter how many times life tries to knock me down, I will rise again and again, because I am a builder, a fighter, a survivor. I may bend, but I will never break. I may stumble, but I will never fall. And this is what I read to myself over and over again. As just a reminder, it's important to be in our power as women, because we are powerful, but we're more powerful when we come together. And I think what you have started is so important, of bringing us women together, and mostly women of our culture, Greek women together, to lift and help each other rise, right? So I love your initiative. And so when you ask me, I show up.
I'm usually never at a loss of words, but this quote it's just a wow, Marilena. And you know what? We all go through things in our lives. And the fact that I want to copy that quote, if you don't mind, just send it to me. Yeah,
Yes,
message it to me. And I actually want to, be able to put it in the description of the podcast. I think it's just simply incredible. And it's going to inspire many women. Like I'm personally, right now I'm going through multiple things in my life, as we all are as women, as human beings.
of course.
And you know what? The fact that you said, I will never bend.
Yeah,
There's going to be struggles, but I'm not going to break.
yeah, yeah.
And the more we say it, but we need to believe it.
Exactly,
We need
exactly.
to believe it, but we also need to have a strong support system around us.
Very important.
So surround yourselves, for everyone that's listening, surround yourself with a strong support system.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be able to say that you're unbreakable. You're going to be able to say that you're not going to bend.
And you're going to start believing it.
Correct. Correct. You're going to start believing it. And Marilena, I really want to also, so thank you for that. But I also want you to share. I know you're humble, but your business. I mean, so in 2024, I know you're going to be venturing into new projects, but
Yeah.
please recap, like in, a couple of sentences, what your business is. I know we heard how you founded it, but really Slimwave Technologies and NuBody Medica, what is that? We heard about the non-invasiveness and it's a new trend, etc. And then in 2024, what's a way?
2024 is just about, I'm in innovation, as
Yes.
business evolved, instead of just finding manufacturers and reselling, I've gone into innovation where I will put my mind, my thoughts, my ideas, and work with manufacturers to create something that I'm looking for. So 2024 is about products that are going to be launched that I really worked in the innovation side of it all. That
Also for the face, for the thing, I think you were talking about something.
yeah. So we're going to have something for the face. We're going to have more effective body contouring technologies. Just recently, we're going also back to the basics. We found that a lot of people, we're in a time where people are getting sicker.
Yes.
So we're bringing back technologies like infrared saunas and red light, where we're having so many people talk about these two technologies and how to biohack your life, how to optimize your life, how to extend longevity. And
wow.
I could talk about this for hours, but I'm also getting back to the basics, things that were really effective, but making it accessible to many. So this is what excites me, really, is optimizing our health and our wellness.
And that's so important in today's
Yes,
day to day. And I really think that, there's so much. We've just touched the tip of the iceberg with you, Marilena. And, I would love to have you come on and join a second podcast because there's so much more we can learn from you. And something I asked my first guest, Marolita, and I want to ask you the same thing. And I think you actually shared a little bit about that in your quote that you shared. But if there was a message, one-liner or word that you want to share with the world, and this is again going to be on dead center at the New York Times, New York Times Square in New York City, and it would be, running that message over and over. What message would that be to inspire women to be resilient and persevere? Would it be a couple of words, a sentence? What would that be?
I think the thing that with me is about never giving up, never accepting no, really. Because
Yes.
if I gave up and I accepted the no's that were being told to me, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have my beautiful daughter next to me. So always think outside the box. Don't
Yes.
accept no. Trust your intuition. I always tell people, trust your intuition. I knew I was going to be a mom. I knew I was going to have a daughter. I just had to figure out how I was going to get there. So just really never give up.
I
Is
love it. Thank you so much, Marilena. And when there's a will, there's a way. So, to everyone that has watched and that will be watching and listening to this podcast, I'm tremendously honored, Marilena, that you said yes.
of
You have
course.
shared so much information. I mean, I can't, it's like my mind right now is like you've shaken me up in such different ways
Oh, good.
and not, you
I
know,
hope in a positive way.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, in the most impactful and influential and way, in the sense of, love yourself, self-love, love yourself, believe in yourself, don't take no for an answer, don't bend, right? And always, have that belief that you will succeed. You will succeed. And and the emotions that you shared with us with your daughter, and the bond, and the trauma that you went through, the psychological
Yeah.
I would say turbulence, that roller coaster that was going in your mind each and every day for 6 years. I mean, that's there's a lot of women that go through that. And thank you for sharing that, because it's going to help and inspire women to never give up, right?
Yeah.
To think outside of the box. Okay, Canada, they're telling us no in the fertility centers. Well, you went to the Czech Republic.
I
You know
did.
what I'm saying? Like this is what it's all about. And I think surrounding yourself with strong women, resourceful women, and it doesn't have to be the women that have that are I would say the most, but resourceful in terms of like their ideas, in terms of them opening their heart,
Yeah.
and resourceful also in connecting you, being a people connector. I think that's very important.
Yes.
So, Marilena, with that, I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
Para poli,
I love you too.
okay?
Thank you for having me. This has been so much fun, so easy. You're an amazing host, and thank you for starting this. I love your initiative. I love your message.
Well,
Well,
I love you, and everyone that's going to listen to this podcast is going to love you even more, because you know what? A lot of times they'll see pictures of people, right?
yeah,
You know what? And they'll have, I'm generalizing now, right? They'll see pictures of people. Oh, we don't really know them, or but unless, in general, people are so quick to judge, just women in general, people in general. Um, and I mean, I face that as well, right? Oh, Stella's doing podcasts now. Well, she was in banking for so many years. Why is she doing this? People are quick to judge, but then when they see how compassionate I am,
yeah,
similar to you, Marilena, in terms of like your passion and your conviction, well, my mission on earth, other than being a mother, a wife, is really to connect people together and have women inspire one another. And if I can leave, I will leave this earth one day, right?
yeah,
'Cause I've lived more years than I have behind me. Yeah, that I have ahead of me, excuse me. I have lived more years than I have ahead of me. So for me now, it's all about making an impact each and every day. And when I leave this earth, how do I want to be remembered? That I've made an impact and I've helped women like you
Yes.
share your voice,
Yes.
speak
Yes.
your truth, be
Exactly.
vulnerable, right? And let your guard down and just be yourself and inspire women.
I think, Stella, you going after, you making career changes or big moves, that takes a lot of bravery and starting something new that you've never done before. So there will always be noise around you. So the fact that you're sticking to your convictions and you're doing what you want to do speaks volumes.
Thank you so much, Marilena. I love you so much.
I love you too.
And this concludes our second podcast with Marilena Tentomas. So everyone, please follow Marilena. Follow her beautiful company, Slimwave Technologies and NuBody Medica. And I'm just curious to see how many more publications and magazines are going to be in, and you're a disruptor in the beauty industry, which is a positive thing. And
Yeah.
I just can't wait to continue to see your journey evolve. And that gives me goosebumps. And I'm giving you all the hugs, love, and support to continue for you on that successful journey. So with that, thank you so very much, Marilena Mo, and have yourself a happy holiday, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. That's
And
true.
have a wonderful new year. And I'm still waiting for the invitation to come and have supper at your house because I'm seeing all the beautiful pictures and I want to be one of the guests.
You're gonna come and we're gonna share a beautiful meal together.
We will. No pressure, right? All right, Marilena Mo, saga po, virtual
I
hug,
love you too.
and have yourself a wonderful day.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Today's episode is brought to you by Big Daddy Fitness Gym with over 1,000 transformations. If you have the will, Big Daddy has the way. Slimwave Technologies and NuBody Medica, Innovator in the beauty business, bringing effective solutions for health and wellness.